All right, so I was asking if anyone can share any thoughts on what we did yesterday. So Alan, proceed.
All right, okay. So what we try to distinguish between the difference between quality control and quality assurance. And the class agreed that quality assurance is more proactive, whereas quality control is reactive. So in our activities and our processes of working, we should try to stay with the quality assurance practices, and that will help us avoid repetition of work. We also agreed with the statement that Robert made, that if we do things right the first time, there'll be no need to fix anything. And that was what we took home with. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Who else has something to share?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Yes, please. So we also looked at the cost of quality. We looked at the categories, appraisal, the some examples of that, the external and internal factors that influence failure, internal and external failures, yes. And then also we looked at the total quality management and 7 tools that help us achieve, or 7 areas that are considered in total quality management.
Okay. Who else?
Doc.
Yes, sir.
Please, we also look at cost of quality using Joanne's model, where we look at the categories in the cost of prevention, cost of failure, and then cost of detection or appraisal. And you ask that we use some of these models when we are asked to answer questions, as well as the TQM implementation or elements that we should expect in some of the examination. You share thoughts on why some of these things are critical, especially leadership, communication, and then recognition being the one of the strongest thing that can encourage people to do things more or to do things better, or encourage them to give out their best. That's what I took home, sir.
That's good. Who else?
Good morning, Doc.
Morning.
And just to add to what my colleagues have said, so we also talked about that, mentioned that for an organization to be successful, there are few things that they need to implement when it comes to TQM. So we talked about integrity and ethics, trust, that we should train the staff, teamwork, leadership, and etc. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and maybe if I can have the last lady say something, a woman. The ladies, where are you? Can I have one lady so that we draw this down and begin? Oh, people, my ladies. Oh, there's no lady. Or there are no ladies. Okay. Oh, I see a message here. Let me see. Good morning. If we do things right, there'll be nothing to fix. Okay, that's what. Charlie, Ilante, your popular quote is receiving serious traction on my status. And
Okay.
Monday, I'm going to put it on our platform, our school platform, just to tell them something. A number of guys have seen it, and they're asking me who is Robert. I say I don't know. I don't know who is Robert. And I'll tell them Robert is a student. So in fact, I'll take your picture and put your picture close to it, and then put the quote. And I think that this is the one of the greatest quotes that I've heard this year, yet to hear others. So can you see the screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, so in all you do, ensure that there is work so that you remain a worker. And yeah. Okay. So this was said by Richard Anamu. Yeah, when you're answering, you can quote some of these things. In fact, I'm going to, yeah, you brought this thing. Amma, it's good that you brought this thing. I'm going to show you one of the questions that I answered when we're doing strategic management, my second master's. Now, the problem I had with the lecturer was that then Dr. Ba, he says that he asked us to write like about 25 sheets. I have produced about close to 80 sheets. And that if he reads and then there's any deviation, he's going to fail me. So he actually called me to his office and asked me to He asked me to go and then scale the thing down to like 30 pages. Then I said that, honestly, I can't do that. He should read it. If I fail, I rewrite. I'll not be the first person to fail. Then Dr. Ba said that, oh, so boys, you want to challenge me? I said, it's not a challenge. I'll not be, I mean, I've even not failed some of these things. I want to see how it feels to fail. He said, okay, we shall see. So fast forward, some of the students got their results. Then it was, what was it? It was, okay, the second master's, MIS, yeah. And he indicated that he had shown some of the students their results, and mine was not forthcoming. So out of the days, I just can't. So I thought that I had failed. So I was then taking measures to rewrite. I went to the school. I said if they've cited my paper, they said they've not cited it. I wanted to see my marks so that I know what to do. So I think about 2 weeks later, I think I was going to lecture when I saw him, and he said, "Hey, boys, come. Then I said, "Sir," he said, "But I mean, why did you do this?" Then I was asking, "So what did I do?" He said, "My goodness. I mean, why did you? I mean, you over answered the question." I said, "Did I fail?" He said, "Unfortunately, you didn't. I wanted to fail you, but honestly, I gave you 90 out of 100. I had no option." I said, "Wow." So what I said makes sense. I said, "Okay." So I went to the school to look for the graduate school too. I thought I had failed and all that. He said, "You didn't." And there was no justification to fail. Okay, it's just that there was too much information that you provided that, in my opinion, was needless, but was very good information that you could use. So I sailed through. And in that question, answering that question, there are a lot of things that I did. I think there were some quotes and other things. I'll show you as remind me, Amma, I'll show you. If I pull that paper, I can show you. Now, this is one of my former boss at Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority. He's called Richard Anamu. And one of the debtors, this is what he said, that in all you do, ensure that there is work, so that you remain a worker. And I took this thing as one of my guiding principles. He doesn't know that I took it, but anytime I teach, especially on Sundays, I use this. So it only, I mean, it only connotes the fact that we should always create the enabling environment so that other people will have work to do. Now, in other words, if I'm in charge of a section, the activity of my section should create more work. In other words, we should be able to generate more revenue, okay, for other people to have space to also come in. So the focus is not you just remaining a worker, but creating an enabling environment, creating more conditions so that we as a company can progress. So for instance, when I was in GPHA, we were looking at the first project I did was container SMS system, where we had people, agents who come, or importers who come from north and come and stay in a hotel, wait for so many days before they position their container. It was needless. Now, whilst in the comfort of their homes, they send them text messages. They know that their containers will be positioned the next day. So at least they can plan their time and all that. And the rippling effect was that those extra costs of staying in the hotel and all that were costs that you could cut off, and that was definitely going to reduce the cost of the goods. I mean, they were selling, or the cargo that they were going to. So we did that. We also, there were another projects that we introduced the terminal operating system. Today, there are handheld machines that they use to, drop containers instead of using tally sheets. So when we had to wait for a month or two before we generate the charge sheets for the shipping line, so they pay the stevedores and etc. This time, just after cargo works is completed, you have this invoice that is generated and sent automatically to the shipping line. So we're able to receive more. The receivable is more. Stevedores are being paid on time, so they can also plan and all that. So reducing the lead time from like 3 months to like just 24 hours was just, or 48 hours was just impressive. So we are creating more conditions. And because of the implementation of the system, there were so many guys who were brought in, those who were dock labor, some were made permanent, some were given contract, they were trained, to use the system. And still this new dry bulk terminal in Takoradi, one of the guys that I pulled from the corporate planning, who is now leading the project, went there to implement the project without the consultant who was in charge come, because what we did was that we offloaded everything that the consultant would do. We offloaded that knowledge, from them. Okay. And that was the number of times we went to Dubai with this team that we could set up the system ourselves. We did our ID card system, the system itself, the software itself for management of the ID. I developed it personally. I sat behind, using, Java script to do that with SQL as the back, the database at the back end. And then we connected it to the proximity, system, okay, where you can now swipe or use it to show the 10 star, then it will 10. And these projects were there. I don't know to what extent this has gone, but the point is that let's make sure that we are useful, okay? When we get to an environment, we live there and ensure that the place is better. And then we've created some sort of, a lasting impression about ourselves. As most of us, we work in an organization and we live at a time where we have drained the organization to the barest minimum, okay, which is not the good thing. But we need to leave a very good impression about ourselves, because as human beings, if God was the creator and he created this environment and made it possible that we can live within environments, then anywhere we go, we also create an environment for others to live in. And I think that should be our core principle as we move forward. So this is a very good quote. And that of my good Robert Lamte. Is the spelling correct? Lamte. That's a kind of a very good. So if we do things right, there will be nothing to fix. There will be nothing to fix. And I resonate with this because I'm more of a lean person, and what I hate is waste. Okay. And one of the waste I hate is idleness. And you're idle doing nothing, and you cannot recoup that time back. So today I want to walk you through 6Sigma process control. We are not going to do the hard part, but there are literature that I'm going to give you. You look at the hard part where you can calculate 6Sigma process control. The reason why I don't want to take you through that is that because Excel can do that, it doesn't make sense to take you through, but it will be good to know what 6Sigma process control talks about. So this one, was initiated by Shewart. Shewart is the guy who did the plan, do, check, at, and I mean, he inspired Juran and Derman to do the things that they were doing. But the main thing behind Sascar process control was to use statistical means, you understand, to look at variation or variability and to keep processes in control and make sure that in keeping the processes in control, we are able to reduce the variation, okay? And subsequently, we're able to reduce the waste. That was what Juran was against. He said that don't use Sascar, don't accept Sascar levels of quality, because that, he believes, is something that encourages people to just accept waste as it is. But for Crosby, he believes that you shouldn't even, the mindset should be towards always eliminating, not reducing waste. But Juran and Deming believed in the reduction, and for which reason they were strongly using Sascar process control. You remember Deming said we should use it, but Juran says that we should use it with care. Okay, so let's look at the whole thing about Sascar process control. But first of all, let's look at process management. Now, we are saying that process management is planning and administering activities necessary to achieve high quality in business process. And also identifying opportunities for improving quality and operational performance. Ultimately, process management seeks to help achieve customer satisfaction. So look at the areas that we have colored red: achieve high quality in business processes. Also, opportunities for improving quality and customer satisfaction. So if you have heard about process management, that's what it is. Now, there's another book called, I'll look for it, Synchronous Management. I think this is more with the supply chain and the engineering guys, okay? Synchronous Management, and it will tell you how you can implement this process management. I mean, within this context, you do something we call business process re-engineering, okay, where a whole organization process will be turned upside down. You do a critical analysis of it. You use some of these tools, Lean tools, 6Sigma tools, to just, I mean, reduce or regenerate the processes, reduce the lead times, and then the non-conforming activities, non-value added activities, waste, they are all removed from the process. And you make sure that the process is transparent, and then you are able to achieve success. So this process management, synchronous management, there's another book called The Goal by Gotrot. Look for it, The Goal. I have The Goal 1 and 2. And if you read that book, in fact, it's one of the books that those who would want to work with the top tier companies, like the Club 100, Fortune 500 companies, they will ask you to read these books in order. One is Synchronous Management. One is The World is Flat, okay? And then one by Charles Darwin. I have the list somewhere. I will look at it and see if I can share with you. Gotrot's The Goal is just amazing, okay? And you think that when you're reading, you think that you are discussing something, but you are solving a very deep, I mean, seated problem. I'm saying that all these books and these writers, they were around this whole thing about process management and all that. Now we are saying that processes are of two processes. Process simplifications reduce opportunities for errors and rework. If the process is very simple, I mean, there's this concept saying that KISS, K-I-S-S, and it stands for keep it simple and stupid. Okay, KISS. So that's what it is. Let me type it here. KISS. So keep it simple and stupid. Please, are you seeing the screen? Okay. Oh.
Yes, sir.
Let me put it a little bit. Keep it simple and stupid. Only says that try and simplify processes. Don't make it too complicated, okay? Let it look simple. And this process, this concept case has helped a lot of people to do so many things. They didn't need to go to university. They keep things very simple. Look at simple things in society, you solve them, simple, okay? Somebody will say, oh, but the guy didn't do anything, but you are making money. Very simple and stupid. Keep it simple, okay? So if you're able to do that, it will help you. This guy who used tiles, used tiles, car tiles to then use it for home furniture. What did he do? He kept it very simple. It looks very simple, right? But he's making money. Those using rubber for blocks, very simple. But they are making money. So in process management, we say don't simplification of process is very good. Okay, simplify the process, don't make it complicated. And processes are of two types: the value added process and the support process. Now, if you guys remember the value chain system, who remembers the value chain system? The famous Michael Porter value chain system. Who remembers? The supply chain guys, you should know this. Who remembers? Let me have. I'm not going to ask you to explain. You, if you remember, raise your hand. Who remembers? Value chain system. Hello. Oh, I'll be disappointed though if you don't remember this. Value chain system. No one remembers. Oh, but you can Google and see. Hey, are you guys? Am I being heard anyway?
Yes, Doc.
Hey, well, if it's a question where. Hey. No, but the value chain system by Michael Porter. No, I mean the supply chain guys. You cannot say you don't know this. But I don't know how you got in here. Anyway, some of you came from engineering, doing supply chain from other discipline. But of course, value chain system, you should know. Now, it talks about within the production process, how value is added at each stage of the process. We call it value chain. And there is an inbound services where we get our raw materials, okay? Then we have the outbound service, okay, where the raw materials are processed into finished good. In fact, we have the inbound and then we have the transformation stage where raw materials are converted into finished goods. And then we have the outbound. And the outbound and the sales and services is where we have finished producing the goods and then we are getting it to the customers. And then we have the supporting system. The supporting system are departments that support the process like IT, engineering, HR, and all that. And I'm saying that when they say processes are of two types and they say the value added process, the value added process is actually the value chain system. And the supporting systems are those who support the process, HR, engineering, IT, any other team that are not directly involved in the production of goods and services, but they help support the transformation of what? I mean, the raw materials into finished goods. That is the supporting process. So we are saying that the value added process are those essential for running the business and achieving and maintaining competitive advantage. An example is the design process. We have the production, we have the delivery process. So it's like the value chain system of Michael Porter, the design, the production, and the delivery of the process. So the supporting process are those that are important to an organization value creation process and employees and daily operational activities that supports the system. Okay, the value creation process are driven by what? The external customer. It is the customer that defines value based on the ISO standard, and that external customer needs, while supports process are driven by what? The internal needs. Now, to apply the technique of process management, a process must be repeatable and what? Measurable. The process must be repeated and then it must be measured. And when we are talking about repeatability, we are talking about continuous improvement, because we do it over and over again, then we get used to it. And in any system, there is a process owner, and those are the people responsible for the process performance and should have the authority to manage the process. It could be the supervisors, it could be the managers. They have the authority to manage the process. And owners could range from high-level executive, as I said, to the workers to run a cell. It could be a cell leader or a group leader within the process. And assigning owners ensures accountability of the process. So within the process, we have this, illustration of the 6Sigma process where you have performance on the y-axis and then time at the x-axis. And when I say y-axis, this is the y-axis and the x-axis, okay? Now, within the y-axis, you see, we are using time. We are looking at performance, and we are using time to also monitor how well we perform. So you see here we have control process. Within this band, there is process and the performance looks good, but we are controlling the process within this band. Now here, this is a new zone, which is a process which is out of control. This one is also out of control. Now, within this base, our responsibility in 6Sigma process control is this, that before we can make improvement on any process, the process must be controlled first. That is the main principle under 6Sigma process control. So if the process cannot be brought under control, then we cannot improve it. Okay, so that is what it says. So here, what we can do is that we have to move this boundary. All this process here is a new zone of control that we have. But this one is out of control. Now we are saying that once we are in this boundary or with this space, then the process can't be controlled. Okay. Now, if it is outside this, then we say it's out of control. Now, at the top bar, we say this is the upper control limit here. And this one is the lower control limit. This one also is the upper control limit and the lower control limit. So a process which is in under control is within the upper and lower control limit. Okay. Now, so we say control is an activity of ensuring the conformance to requirement and taking corrective measures when necessary. So conformance to requirement. So what did the customer say he needs? What is the specification of the customer? So if we conform to requirements, then it means that we are putting the process in control. And we are also taking corrective measures when necessary. So two reasons for controlling process. Now, process control methods are the basis for effective daily management of process. This is very huge. It is the basis of effective daily management of processes. That's one. And the second part is that it helps us with long-term improvement. Okay, because once we control the process, it helps us to improve in the long run. We are not looking just the short term. And short-term corrective action should be taken by the process owners. Long-term remedial actions should also be the responsibility of the managers. So effective quality control system include the following. You have to do your documented procedures for all key processes and a clear understanding of the appropriate equipment and working environment. There should be methods of monitoring and controlling critical quality characteristics. And then you should have approval process for equipment. And then criteria for workmanship, that you have your written standards, SOP, examples, samples, etc., and also maintenance activity. This is what you do to have effective quality control system. Okay, these are the 6 attributes of it. let me just pause here and see if you have any question. You can throw it in because I will be going deep. Do we have any question?
Hi, sir.
No,
Please, can you write the books in the chat? I think one of the names I can't spell, the go truth or something. I mean, maybe at the end of the class, you can add that to the chat.
I'll do that. Just remind me. I need you to share your thoughts. So whilst I was talking, you were thinking about the book. That's also good. Who's I? Or any question?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's look at process. Yeah, go ahead.
So looking at the process control, the first statement, control is the activity of ensuring the conformance to requirement. This agrees with the Crosby's definition of quality, where he's looking at conformance. Can we say that?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Yeah, that's Crosby's, view, even though he hates statistical process control.
Then, secondly, Doc, you had mentioned when we're talking about some of the relevant books we should look at, especially the synchronous management. You had mentioned business process reengineering.
Yes.
So, at which time of in an organizational life cycle must this process be done? I experienced some, and after 15 years of a bank inception, and I don't think the timing, in my opinion, I don't think the timing was right. Well, I thought it was long overdue. But do we have any specific time, and who qualifies to be part of the consultant?
I think that's a very brilliant question. But the point is that why do we have to re-engineer our process? Okay, there should be a course of action. Probably we want to improve profit. We want to reduce cost. We'd want to increase market share. We want to increase customer loyalty. We want to increase our brand equity, etc. Now, when that becomes the focus, and there's the strong will of management to change, and in the change process, there is the desire to change is stronger, okay, than the fear to change, right? The desire to change, let me write this thing down, is stronger than the fear to change. When it happens that way, the desire to change is stronger than the fear to change. Okay, when it happens that way, then there is that deliberate effort to now do the re-engineering. In other words, we don't really have, as it were, naysayers in the system, because change management is one of the things that most organizations overlook, especially the government institutions, so to speak. They overlook, that. So once that will is there, then we we change the vision of the organization. So that's where it starts. So for instance, if we want to re-engineer, what do we want to do, or how do we want to see the company in the next 5, 10 years? Because the re-engineering should take us there. And that is actually a kind of a breakthrough strategy that organization will be implementing. In fact, it's a kind of a sporadic change, like a tsunami, okay? Like what happened to the minority leaders, like a tsunami, you understand? It comes unexpected, okay? Not that workers are not aware, but we are changing the process to the extent that people are going to lose their jobs. Others will be reassigned. It is something that the organization must do, all right? So when it happens that way, sometimes they collapse a whole department, all right? Sometimes they merge other sections. Okay, sometimes they lay the whole department off. That is the re-engineering process, okay? Where the focus is to make sure that so most organizations are afraid to take that step. Maybe they have the human face, and those who want to do that will try as much as possible to front load the process, and then now look at those who will be affected. The front loading means that they do a kind of simulation and see those who will be affected. Now, when they know that these guys will be affected, they try to train them and then reassign them so that the impact will not be detrimental, right? And sometimes that's why most companies do not want. They see the number of people that they are going to lay off, all that, and that becomes a problem. And I can tell you that's one of the problems that I had whilst I was in service. When we were implementing the terminal management system, in fact, the union leaders came to meet me. They went to the DG. The DG said, I go to speak to David. He came to me and said that we have heard that you are going to halve, the system is going to halve the staff working force, and we are not going to allow that. I said, I'm not management. I've been asked to implement. But I explained to them how productive we can become, how we can reduce cost, how the workers can now be they will be trained to use some of these devices, how we can collect money quickly, as opposed to what we are going through now and all that. But they claimed they understood. But in fact, by the time they left, there were WhatsApp messages everywhere that guy would want to make sure that half of the staff go home. And you can just imagine that kind of hatred and dislike, and I think that the process of change was not handled, very well at a point in time. And people will see you and they are angry with you, see them angry with you because you came in as a service personnel and blah, blah, you rose to manager, and then now you want people to be laid off. They told the story in a way that sounded very bizarre. So re-engineering process can be very devastating, not to the organization, but sometimes to the environment, and then also to the workforce. But it's something that is needed to do. A number of companies have done that. I recently facilitated a lecture for a CAS MBA student in Europe. I taught through Zoom. I think, remind me, I'll show you some of the slides, the guys. There was one question on business process re-engineering, and some of them use some companies like Apple, some use, and you see, you get to, when they did the presentation, I said, wow, they were using current companies, and we don't do these things here. Some people use Apple, some people use Bow, the airline company. Others also use Coca-Cola, and they were telling you actually what was happening currently and what they have done to transform, their processes, and it was just amazing. Okay.
Thanks, Doc. I'm grateful.
So let's look at, yes.
Doc, sorry. just for clarity, sorry for the interjection.
No, it's
Looking
good
at
to
that,
interject.
that's
It's
no,
good to
that
interject.
same that same statement. Control is the activity of ensuring the conformance to the requirements and taking corrective. Say, does this align with Crosby? This should be more of
No, it's the requirement part that we're focusing on, not the corrective action.
All right.
Because Crosby talked about conformance and performance. That is his definition for quality. You understand? I got the guy from that perspective. All right.
Okay. Okay.
But
so
if when there's corrective measure, taking corrective measure, that will be for, if you look at the cost of quality, that will be at the preventive stage, isn't it?
Corrective means things have happened and
no. Taking corrective actions. Now, corrective doesn't really mean that. Okay, so let me give you an example. I mean, we are producing. Okay, for Crosby saying that don't let the final product comes out. So whilst we are working, and then there is a defect detected. Okay, the system is shut down. It doesn't come out though, and then that correction is made. So the corrective doesn't mean that we get the final product. Okay, it could be within the process. You get what I'm saying?
That's fine, sir.
But the opposition is also true that corrective could mean that we have done inspection and then we've seen that the product is defective and that we have to spend money to fix it. Maybe internal failure. Okay, so we have to fix it before it goes to. It could be even external failure when it has gotten to the market and we are still fixing it. And we are having reputational damage and all that. So it's your point is also, I mean, right. So customer loyalty is driven by delivered value. Delivered value is created by business process. Charlie, look at this. It's interesting. Customer value is driven by delivered value. Delivered value is created by business process. So it means that if the business process is created well, we should be able to deliver value to the customer. So sustained success in competitive market require a business to continuously improve delivered value. And with continuous improvement, we are still talking about Kaizen, okay? Kaizen, and we'll get there. To continuously improve value chain ability, a business might continually improve its value chain process. You see, I talked about value chain. Now, they are now talking about value chain. The inbound process, the transformation stage, the outbound, and the sales and marketing. Then we have the supporting service, we have the IT, HR, we have the engineering, and all that. So continual process improvement is an old management concept dating back to 1895. However, those approaches were mainly productivity related. So more recently, Toyota implemented the just-in-time. You know what is just-in-time, right? We know what is just in time. The lean guys.
Yes, sir.
You know what just in time means what? Just in time means
just in time means producing just when you receive demand, you pull demand from consumers, and then you request for your raw materials just when you get the order, so that you produce no more or no less than the order you received.
Oh, okay. Who else? Just in time. Yes, in time.
I think the main focus of just in time is to reduce inventory holding costs. So you don't receive more than you will need at a time in production.
You what's a crowd? Say that again.
So I said the main objective of just in time is to reduce the inventory holding cost.
Holding cost. I like that. The inventory holding cost. That is the main, in fact, that sits at the heart of just in time. Thank you so much. This is a very good statement. In fact, when you are writing, you're answering questions, you can put some of these things in there. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we are saying that it gives us zero defect. Why? Because we are not holding inventory for any reason. We are holding inventory that has not been requested by customer. The just-in-time philosophy says that it doesn't make sense. If a just-in-time was not a strategy, take note. This thing that was developed by Shingo, it was not a strategy. The Japanese did not have capital to stock the product. So they adopted this out of necessity. Then it became what? A strategy for them. Okay. So Kaizen means continuous improvement. And please take note of that. For those who do lean or who have done lean, you know about that. We say Japanese for gradual and orderly continuous improvement over a long period of time with minimum financial investment and with participation by everyone in the organization. That is what the process improvement, what we call Kaizen. And the improvement in all areas of the business serves to enhance quality of a firm. And three things required for successful Kaizen program. We have operating practices, total involvement, and training. Operating practices, total involvement, and training. Please take note of some of these things, okay? You could implement them in your company. And operating practices expose opportunities for improvement. JIT reveals waste and inefficiency as well as what? Poor quality. So Kaizen is a good, you see, Kaizen can be, it's a philosophy. It can be a mindset. You understand? It can be some sort of part of the core values of the organization. Some people call it corporate credos, okay? It's enshrined in the DNA of the organization. That's what they do, okay? And those times when Valco was Valco, they were, those times when they were implementing safety, I mean, high level of safety, you go to the place is colored, this place are painted, don't do this, there's something showing that somebody has fallen down and other things. And I mean, you get into the environment and you are so much safety sensitive, okay, that, I mean, it is nearly impossible for something to happen. You are so conscious, and they make sure that that concept got into the DNA of the workers, okay? It was there at the heart of the organization. So that is what continuous improvement really does. And we say that it involves every employee. Employees should strive. It should be a personal commitment by employees to do engage in continuous improvement. Top management views improvement as part of the strategy to support it. Middle management can implement top management improvement goals by establishing, maintaining, and upgrading operating standard. And then workers now can engage through suggestions. They can do small group activity. Middle management can help create conducive environment for improvement and improving cooperation among departments. So what I'm saying is that it is an overall organization-wide strategy. No one should be left out. The Kaizen process also leverage on the Schwartz Plan, Do, Check, Act, right? Which was implemented somewhere. It predated the 1950s. Deming took it and then took it to the next level. So there are various versions of the Plan, Do, Check, Act, but it's actually what Schwartz said, Plan, Do, Check, Act. This one is Plan, Do, Study, Act. It's the same thing. Others say it's FADI, Focus, Analyze, Develop, and Execute Cycle. They have come with a number of models in that. They just change the wording, the concept, and then they are good to go. Now, we also have in the same manner, Durand's breakthrough sequence, which is also Kaizen implementation. And these guys come out with their own kind of methodology. And it is still linked to Schwartz Plan, Do, Check, Act. Now, Durand says that proof of the need. And the need here talks about the customer. Proof of the need. You demonstrate that the customer needs this. Now, you identify the project identification. Now, organization for breakthrough, it said 2 paths identified the symptoms to the cause diagnostics, and the cause to remedy. That's the remedial path. Okay. And then he says that the fourth thing is diagnostic journey, remedial journey, and holding the gains. Holding the gains is just celebrating, the gains that you have. And this is a methodology being used by Duran. So me, this is what I do. This one, I can convert it to a flow, chart, or I can draw boxes, okay? And then when I'm solving a problem, I can use that as the framework. And I can fit it within the need, project identification, the diagnostic journey, remedial, and holding the gains. You can simply do that. And when you use these models to answer questions or to solve problems in an organization, it gives some level of it tells management that the solution is foolproof because you're using a model that has been tested for ages to do, rather than using guesses and all that. Now, so what we did was just to tell you, the quality arena, the space, statistical process control, what is done, process improvement, what is done, and when the process is in control or out of control, upper control limit, lower control limit, what that means. And we have been able to understand what statistical process control is, just maintaining process within the control limits, so that there will be an opportunity to implement some improvement measures. And an example is that if someone is drowning and you want to save the person, you need to get the person unconscious first. Are you aware of that? If someone is drowning and you want to save the person, you need to get the person unconscious first. Are you aware of that? Kojo Hansen, you live in the coastal areas. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yes. Enyimegwara?
Was not that too well.
Not that well. You don't know how to swim. Okay, so when you want to save someone who is drowning, what do you do?
They said you have to save the person from behind.
Behind, it
Yes,
means that
behind.
one.
It means when you help the person from behind, the person wouldn't have control over you, because at that time the person is struggling to survive. So when you save the person from front or from wherever, he can attack you, he can even drown you. So you have to go behind the person so that you have full control of the person.
In fact, you talk like Kofi Kinata. Anyway, who else? Who else? Have you heard about that?
So that is very strange. And how do you go about it?
So how do you go about it? In fact, in some jurisdiction, what they do is that they can even slap the person to be unconscious. Because you see, when the person is struggling to save himself, when you come close, he's going to use you to save himself. You understand? Because he's out of control. He is out of control. So you do that from the back and probably hold the person and then lift that person up so that the person can get air. But if you start from the front, the person can drown you because he cannot save himself. When he drowns you, he's also going to die anyway. Okay, you can go to YouTube and look at play a video. Now today we don't know that anything you want, if you go to YouTube, is there. Most people don't know, right? Anything about life, anything. Think of anything is in YouTube. Some people, all of us, we put data there, information. Now, so let's look at this. This one is very, very important. Please take note of that. We are going to look at these 5 tools, 7, so to speak. Now, the World Economic Forum has indicated that there are some skill sets that employers are looking for in the next 3 decades. And out of the first 20, or out of the first 10, you have critical thinking skills as one. You have problem-solving tools as one. And you have data analytics as also one. Now, the problem-solving tools are these tools and some additions. These are the problem-solving tools, right? Flowchart is a problem-solving tool. Yesterday, I met some politicians. No, when was it yesterday? No, Friday. And I was supposed to do some work for them. And they needed somebody who understands how to use Microsoft Visio very well. Somebody who can create his own icons or stencils and then use them. And they want some unique stencils. So they were doing permutation and then they called me and I went there. And then they gave me the whole document, very heavy document. I'm supposed to read everything and then convert everything into a process flow. Okay, using Visio. So I've started reading and I'm going to convert this into a process flow because they believe that what they have is just theory, but I should convert it into an instructional manual where people will follow just the instructions and do what they are supposed to do. Okay. So that is it. So the first one is a process flow, a flow chart. I believe that we all know what a flow chart is, right? A flow chart. We have a flow chart, we have a check sheet, we have a histogram, Pareto diagrams, and we have the cause and effect diagrams, scatter diagrams, and control charts. So let's look at flow charts. Now, before this, I just want you to appreciate the fact that total quality management with the use of these tools can only assure you 95% of quality. Are we there? 95%. So let's do this. Now, 5% out of 1,000 will be what? 5% out, it'll be what?
Should be 50 or
1,000.
It's 50.
50.
It's 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what it means is that for every 1,000 service delivered, you get 50 misdeliveries. That's TQM. Are we good? Are we good?
Yes.
That's the implication. So if you have 1,000 women who go for labor, 50 will have stillbirths, or 50 might not come out successfully. You want to implement TQM?
Yes,
No,
please.
please.
Hello?
No, please.
Now, why are you saying no, please?
Because just on our first meeting, we learned that 6 Sigma has a way lower error.
No problem. But as we speak now, ask me. Even the 50 TQM itself, we are not meeting. If 1,000 go, sometimes you have 200 dying. So what's the point? You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And what is the point? I mean, depth at the hospital is just becoming a normal activity. And most of our medical doctors, not all of them, there's one medical doctor who is now a director. He happens to be my brother-in-law. And oh, the guy is too good. And he was telling me that most of the things we do here are too complicated. And we have not reached there. Our thinking cap has not reached that level. So they take someone to the hospital and they say that the person cannot urinate. The person has a urinary problem. So that was my stepmother, one of my stepmothers. My father married 6 anyway. So that was one of them. And when they took the rush, that stepmother is demise anyway. When they took her to the hospital, so they called this medical doctor, my brother-in-law, and then he was speaking to the doctor. The doctor said, "We have to do this test." He said, "No, the person cannot urinate." He said, "Yes." "Have you asked if he has taken in water?" He said, "No, I have not." I said, "If you don't drink water, how definitely you will not urinate. It's simple." So let us give her water. They gave her water, and then the next 5 minutes, the lady said, my stepmother said she wanted to urinate. So this doctor was telling me that, you see, they were going to put her in a machine, do tests and this thing. By the time you realize they start doing operation, waste that person. Because he believes that health, the doctor's job is no more of those things, it's more of logic. It's too basic that we should know. Okay. My point is that if we get 95% assurance, Ghana would have been the best place to live, I'm telling you. Right now, we are not even beating half. The waste is too much in the system. So 95% quality is good. It's just that when you hear the 5%, you ask yourself, who is going to be in that 5%? But that's the reality. Okay. Most airlines are doing total quality management. They are not doing 6Sigma. So that is it. So that is the caveat. So check sheet, histogram, and all that. So let's look at a check sheet. A check sheet is a simple document that is used for collecting data in real time. So it could be just some Excel sheet where you have date and you have activity. And then you have another column indicating what the problem and the action taken. Just an ordinary sheet, Excel sheet. Okay. They use check sheets sometimes as tally sheets. Okay. And it's more of quantitative nature rather than qualitative. Some use check sheets just to record things that they say qualitative and then they convert it into quantitative. But it could be both. So as a supervisor, when you are going to through your daily rounds, most people go without any document in their hand, nothing. But a good supervisor will go with what? A check sheet and record things in real time and indicate things that has to be fixed what? Immediately. Okay. You might think that this thing, but it's simple. Me, when I go, I can use, if I can go through without a check sheet and I can remember everything. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It doesn't work that way. And I'll show you how the check sheet has been used. And we have a histogram. Histogram divides up the range of possible values in data set into classes and group. For groups, it is mostly in a rectangular order, and you have the base, and then you have the horizontal axis, and then the you have the Y and the X axis. Here you are looking at salary as against number of employees. This is a very powerful tool, but most of us do not use it. It's a very powerful tool. It also helps us to know some sort of observation, those who fall. So with this, if quickly I want to see those who are, taking very high salaries, okay, I can look at those within 44 to 54, isn't it? They are taking maybe 550 or so. Are you seeing it on the screen? At a glance, I'll be able to do that. So when you are presenting your statement or you are presenting your report, instead of writing too much text, you should use some of these tools, because management do not want to read. They don't have time to read that much. But once you project these things, it helps them. The scatter diagram, one powerful tool. Now, the scatter diagram really is something that helps you in taking quick decisions on data that you have collected. The scatter diagram does not show you the dependent and independent variables. It doesn't. Either type of variable can be plotted on whether the X or Y axis. But more importantly, it talks about how the data is associated with each other. It doesn't talk about causations. It doesn't talk about causality between one variable on the other. Maybe X is explaining Y, no, but rather talks about what? The association. And the reason why this is very powerful, if they give you even election data, okay, and it's in Excel, scatter diagram can give you a quick overview as to how the data look like. It gives you some sort of impression how the nature of the data are, whether they are positively correlated or negatively correlated. What are the outliers in the data? Okay, because you could see an outlier. So I have a set of data, maybe about 4 or 5 columns, talking about sales. Okay, and then I plot it, and I realize that a particular date, the sales had gone up like 3 million. But the others are within 20,000, 30,000 and all that. If I put it on the plot, I'll see that outlier easily. And that will give me an idea what to do with it. Okay, so scatter diagram gives you that visibility. And the correlation, the association is not saying there is causation, but we are saying that, okay, Nilamte, if Nilamte passes mass, okay, Amma also is able to pass mass. But there's no connection between Lamte and Amma. Lamte's act doesn't influence her Amma. But probably because they study together, there's some sort of association. Okay, so when he passes mass, she also does. When she fails science, she also does. But one doesn't cause the other. In this correlation and association, it helps management to make serious decisions. I can give you one. Now, you have a group of people in your department that there's one particular guy who goes for training alone. When he comes in the next 3 months, everybody knows about what he was taught. In other words, the guy doesn't do normal training, but he's able to infuse this knowledge into other work practices that are evident or the other people look at and they also learn from. Okay, so there's some sort of correlation with his training and the performance of others. But there are other people, when they go for training, there will no improvement. Okay, so those group of people, if the organization do not have money and will still want the training to benefit all of them, then they will prefer the person that when they train, there is some effect, there's some kind of correlation with their training and the performance of the other. Okay, that's what, and it helps you to see some sort of cost. Okay, if you see that correlation. So correlation helps, but it doesn't do what we call causality. It doesn't show that one causes the other. We have control charts. Control chart, we've talked about it. We have the upper control limit, the lower control limit. Processes should be in control. If they are out of control, it cannot be what controlled. So if even it's out of control and those that are out of control are all within a range, we create another, control, limit within that band so that we can control them. And in statistical process control, we use this thing to look at the process and see how we can initiate some improvement actions. Run chart looks like the control chart, but run charts do not, it doesn't give that control, limit, okay? It shows the control limit of the process, and they are simpler to use and to produce, but do not allow the full range of analytic techniques supported by control chart. It doesn't. So run chart, measurement against progression of line, control chart, add control limit, and upper control limit and lower control limit. Run chart doesn't do that. So you are best not to use run chart for serious statistical, process, but you could use them for, also to illustrate processes and know which ones are within a certain range where control limits, the limits, upper control limit and lower control limit are not the prime focus of the work. And then the almighty Ishikawa diagram. I've used this thing several times. Now, anytime you want to diagnose a problem, all right, you can use this, and it comes with the M. Other theories have used other characters to illustrate that. So for every problem, you can use some number of M's. You can even change the characters. So they are saying that for a problem to occur, that problem can be traced to machines. So let's look at machines. You list items related to the machines that you're using. If the problem is coming from there, you can't go to human resource, that's the manpower. You can look at stock, which is what? The materials. You can also look at methods. So you can write those problems. Sometimes they do 5-5 or 10-10, and then they would know where the problem is coming from. They give them weights. So they can know that, okay, for method is contributing, let's say, 20% to the overall problem. Materials maybe 10%. Maybe machine is going up to 50%. Manpower, some also percentage. And that leads to what? The overall problem, but that is what, 100%. Okay. And it has been used for those doing your research work. You can use these theoretical or conceptual framework, or this is a model, and then you collect data from it to illustrate what? A problem, okay? Maybe analyzing something of a certain problem, and then you using the Ishikawa or the fishbone diagram, a case study of a certain company, all right? This one is straightforward. So you look at machines, okay? You set 5 questions on the machine based on some constructs that has been established already. But this one, because these constructs were grounded, in other words, and then grounded means that they use an inductive study to come out with these constructs. So it's going through the grounded theory methodology, and it's now become an operational model. So when you pick them, there's a theoretical underpinning. There's a theoretical basis to this. It's not just something you are looking at. So when you pick it, you have your validity and reliability. Very good. You don't have anything with the validity issues. So the M's can go to 5, 6, depending on what you're doing. And it's a very good tool. The Pareto diagram, this guy was an Italian that came out with this concept. A lot of people have modified. He believed that 20% of all the problems that we have, I mean, in this world all the problems we have in this world is caused by what? The 20% people. In other words, you have the 80% not being the cause of the problem. And that is true, that the COVID is just a few people in this world created COVID for us. All right. You also believe that most of the organizations, the 80% profit they churn out is as a result of the 20% that work within the organization. They are responsible for the 80% profit, and the 80% are also responsible for the 20% profit. Some people have come out with new model 10-90, 30-70, 60-40, but this Italian came up with Pareto analysis, and he says that the purpose is to highlight the most important factors among a typical large amount of costs for a problem. And in order to develop the Pareto diagram for specific process, the knowledge of frequency is very important. Relative frequency, cumulative frequency, and percentage frequency are all needed for that. So you are able to see. So when you look at this diagram, it's only telling you that the dimension out is representing what the most highest, okay, as against the others that is having. But this will tell you which part of the issues are contributing to the success of the problem. And this is very, very important. Okay, very, very important. He said that it can be noted that 3 defects out of the dimension, okay, poor surface finish and loose joints account for what? 75% of what? The rejection. Okay. That one, if you look at on the dimension out, poor surface finishing, loose joint, that is giving you at the top 75%. Okay. So it's saying that, you see how it's interpreted, that is accounting for 75% of what? The rejection. So there are other problems, but they are not too important. So if you use the Pareto analysis to assess an organization, manpower, and who is doing what and all that, you then realize that, okay, the competency level that you are looking at, you have maybe just 20% who are extremely good, in engineering and all that. And of course, if you check, their work is accounting for the 80% profit. So why don't you remove most of the incentive from the other side and then incentivize these people to be able to produce more? Because there are a chunk of them who are in there, who are enjoying the same thing, but you are not getting the productivity. Or could it be that you reduce the staff strength and then you just get more of these competent guys so that you can make more profit? So these are things that you can look at. So I decided to bring this chart just to illustrate what we have just discussed, and that tool is very important. I pray that I'll be able to probably have a practice time where I'll take you through maybe Microsoft Visual. Anyone who knows how to use Visual here? Anyone who can be of help? I have some videos on YouTube that I've done some basic Visual using the stencils and then creating simple process flow. Anyone has any idea on how to use Visual, Microsoft Visual? I think the class is too quiet today.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So I've used it a couple of times just to create normal flowcharts, process flowcharts.
Okay. Who else knows how to use it? It's not difficult to use, isn't it?
Oh, no, not at all. If
Okay.
your diagrams are okay, if you know what you are doing.
Okay. Anyone?
So I've also used for electrical drawings.
Exactly. I like that. For electrical drawings, I'm going to show you what you say. I'm going to show you. Okay. Who else? In fact, there was a lady who I taught at Coventry, is now the head of procurement for this coastal development something. In fact, she was also awarded as one of the top 100. In fact, she came for the top 30 and also the top 100. She's called Jennifer. Now, when we visited her office, one of the things she told me, which I was blown off, is that said, I would always remember when you taught us Lean or 6 Sigma, and then you took us through Visio. That was my turning point. Now, everything within my department has been put on a flow chart. So I don't talk too much. And really, other departments are learning from us because we are ISO ready, because every process of us are documented and it's in a process flow, instruction manual in process flow, and easy. And but she said this when with the UI University Relations visited, her, and I was among the team because I knew most of them and all that. And she was really appreciative that she went through that. And she has advanced in these tools, using it almost for everything she does. And when you ask her, it gives you visibility. As management, they want to see. And then, so when you write too much English, you're not making sense. So sometimes a diagram, 2 or 3 diagrams with some comments tells the story more vividly than you writing a lot. I was asking, I think someone wanted to talk. Ekua Amwakwa, you wanted to say something. I think I'm getting your name correct now.
No.
Yes.
No, not now. It was previously, but I'm fine now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any person. So let's look at this. We'll come to the demake and all that. But what's something? Have you seen this one? This diagram here? Okay, it's the plot data defect. It's a form of what? The scatter diagram. But this is a plot diagram that I use for cause effect. Okay, there's another one here. That the histogram. Have you seen it being used?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
It's,
this is Nestle Ghana. They are using it for serious things. Okay. Have you seen Pareto?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Doc.
Have you seen flowcharts?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So have you seen that it is not a joke?
Yes, please.
This is a time plan. Time plan look like what? A time sheet.
Plan.
Okay. And these things are used. See here. It said these are the steps, the description, and the tools. So this is the problem-solving tools these guys are talking about, the World Economic Forum. That as a professional, you should know how to use these tools by heart. By heart. You get my point. And then when we go to the next one, it's the same. Okay. You see the Ishikawa diagram? It's here. Have you seen it?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. This one looks like what? It looks like what?
Why? Multiple choice sheet.
Checklist.
Checklist.
Yes.
A checklist.
Okay, let me do this so that I'm not being fair to you. I mean this one. Checklist. This one also looks like checklist, isn't it? Okay,
Yes,
this one also looks like checklist. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are all tools. You see, this is another what? Diagram. Okay. So a lot of them Ishikawa. And they are using it to solve problems. This is real production. We are producing food, very sensitive, commodity, where safety is at the top. They are using these tools. So it's not just the theoretical aspect of it. People are using these things to do very, very serious things. Okay, so there are other flow charts, and I would want you to, this part of the notes, just as a matter of knowledge, you read about them. Kaizen Blitz. Kaizen Blitz, it said Kaizen Blitz, an intense and rapid improvement in which a team or a department throws all its resources into an improvement project over a short period of time. Like all hands are on deck. There's a problem. They say, oh, everybody should come, bring the best. Let's put all our resources here. We call it Kaizen Blitz, right? And the Blitz teams usually comprise of employees from all areas in the process who understand it and can implement the changes on the spot. So all hands on deck, we call it Kaizen Blitz. You can use some of these terms. When they ask you, tell them to come and pay £5,000. Then we have Pokayoki, right? Mistake proven. For those who did lane, you know Pokayoki. You know, those of you, I believe some of you are now using maybe 20. Amma, your hand is up. You are using 2023 vehicles or 2022 vehicles and all that. Now, for those who are using the push button, right? If you don't step on the brake, you cannot spark your car. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes,
oh,
sir.
nobody they use push button car. Why? Nobody they use. I'm not saying you guys they use. Now, what do you think it is? It is Pokayoki. Can you imagine if you don't put your on brake and you spark the car, what can happen? And if the gear, the automatic is not even at park or neutral, you can still not spark, isn't it? It is Pokayoki. Pokayoki, mistake proven. Those who are using the key, the orientation, if you don't put it well, you cannot spark. That is Pokayoki. Okay? So these are terms that you should be used with. Amma, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. These tools, I wanted to ask that for those of us in construction that we are not really doing like product processes, how do we utilize these tools to improve our work?
Can you repeat? You said those of you who are doing what?
Like who are into construction. So it's not like we are into manufacturing, but construction. So how do we utilize these tools to improve our work?
Oh, but construction deals with processes, isn't it?
Yes.
So as a supervisor, when you go to do normal inspection, what do you have, in your hand?
So we use the checklist and drawings and all that.
Yeah. You get it. Okay. Now, if you want to, if you have data on what has been done, let's say the process flow, for instance, if you want to look at the stages that the construction has gone through, you could have a simple process flow to illustrate that. Okay, and break them into detailed process, and you'll be good to go. I want to show you what I used as part of the committee that the vice president set up to draft the roadmap for the paperless board. Of course, that project had already, when I was in GP, I had already executed it. And he came to just change the name to what paperless. Okay, but I was added to the committee to help draft that. But I want to show you what we did with the process flow, just for emphasis. Let me show you that. So this is the report Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yes, please.
No, read something so that I know that you've seen it. Read something on the report.
National
Under
In the
paperless.
national paperless implementation of ports processes for port efficiency, trade facilitation, and
Okay.
revenue stuff.
So, have you seen my name somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Head of IT. Temasipia.
That time they have moved me from the headquarters to shipyard. They wanted to deal with me. So even at the shipyard, I was still working. So what's something? This then should be a public document to show. So this is the process flow. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So I created my own icons. We could have used flow diagram for this. It will be accepted. But I wanted more visibility, so I created these icons. In fact, this guy was not seated on the chair. I took the chair from somewhere and I put him on the chair. This one is a separate icon. The system unit is a separate one. I brought them together, grouped it. The same thing with this guy. In fact, the hair was not black, but I painted it black. I'm saying that if you look at these, they are the same. This one I remove this one there and then change the color and then put it there. And then make it look, so this is it. You know the scanning process that this car was coming from somewhere. I went and brought this thing, put it there as if it was entering. And these are boxes, okay? And this one, this track, this boxes was not on, but I put it on to show. Okay, so we did this, right? And this is, and you have what? Post clearance, and what? Pre-clearance, clearance, and post-clearance audit. So this is just an example of what Microsoft Visual. So this one, the whole country's sea and airport process, it was the process flow we used. That is how serious these tools are. So for me, this was a game changer. This was what I brought to board by the committee. And you know, when we went to the vice president, it was in economic management meeting. When we gave the report to him, he just went through the report. You know where he looked at? It's the process for that. He told them that, hey, please, where is Boison? I'm told that he was the master in this. Just extract only the pictures and let me have it. That was his interest. He never read the report. For him, it didn't make sense to him. Other than that, he had to sit and read everything. This is just an illustration. Amma, now that you have seen this, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
When you have seen it, Mom, you don't have any question. Eh? Any question, please? We're going to move to 6 Sigma.
Okay, this one has.
I think you people.
Please, before you move to 6Sigma, I have a question on the just in time.
Okay, go ahead.
So with the objective of just in time, I wanted to ask that with the rate, current rate of price hikes and all that, do you think that in implementing lean, just in time is a good option for like the manufacturing industries?
Good question. So let's help answer this question. Let's discuss. Traffic. First rep.
Yes, Doc.
Lead us to discuss this issue. It's a very good question.
Okay. Can the question be repeated again, please?
Okay, so I'm saying that with the objective of just in time, that is to reduce inventory holding costs. So I mean, it's like you get your materials for just the order that you receive from customers so that you don't have to overstock your store. So I'm asking that with the rate at which prices have been increasing each and every time, is it advisable to choose just in time as one of your tools in implementing lean in a manufacturing company?
Okay. It's quite unfortunate I've missed a lot of discussions today, but the point is that in factory, what you just say, the price fluctuation.
Bob,
Doc, are you saying something?
Yeah. You are not to answer, you have to lead. So don't worry yourself answering. Call people to contribute. That's all.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. That's fine.
When you finish, then you state your position.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So, Alan, are you with us?
Yes, in Tafik, I'm with you.
Now you go call people where you know they like them a matter. You understand?
Yes, Tafik, I think that's a very good question, but it all boils down to management decision, right? So, of course, it will be also costly to stock your warehouse with materials or items which are not moving. And of course, what I just, hello, are you saying something?
No, I'm listening to you.
Okay, all right. So of course, it's a decision making. And of course, when you do just in time, assuming there are materials in the market, as at when a customer makes a requisition, of course, you're going to base your the cost based on the current price to give the customer the price of the items you have to produce. I hope you get it. So it's a decision that could be case by case. It cannot be just one stop shop for every decision that you decide in production. But for some items, it may be necessary to stock but not overstock. And for some other items, depending on the nature of it, you may have to necessarily wait, just as a request has been received from the customer, knowing the current prices on the market. Based on that, you provide that quote to the customer in order not to overstock items that may not be moving enough in your warehouse. That's my thoughts, though.
All right, okay, I get it.
Okay,
Thanks,
so from what Alan is saying, it looks like depending on what item, so it can be 100% for all.
I want to answer.
I may like to add.
Okay, so is that awesome?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so what we also do with just in time is you can sign a contract with the supplier, but as part of the contract, you give him the delivery periods so that he deliver them when you need them. So you have like your project schedule and you know when you need this and that. So as part of the contract, you tell them that you deliver this at this date, you deliver that at that date, so that you don't need to do the inventory or like store or keep the the items or the materials.
Let me just ask a quick question here. Also, is it possible with all materials? Because I know for us in construction, this cement, what's the name? Cement. No, most of them wouldn't take your orders like that. It is more or less like once the price goes up, they would have to send you the difference for you to top up. Are you aware of that? Thank you.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But if you've taken my money in advance too, you were using my money for business. So, okay, so for me, I work with ECG. So like I have a project and I need poles, I need conductors. I may start with the poles immediately, but I will only need the conductors after we plan the poles. So I'll tell you that I should deliver the conductors at this time. So since it's a contract and there'll be negotiation, the supplier also knows that, okay, I'm going to deliver the conductors probably in September. Prices may go up. So in the negotiations, you also factor in that.
Very well. Kojo Eduyangse, please.
Yes, Tafik, I think
Last word, please write my name. I've spoken today.
Okay, I'll do so rightly so.
So, Senior Tafik, I think with what Amma is asking, it also depends on the kind of material that you use as your raw material. For instance, if you are using a perishable goods, I don't think you can even stock them. And if you're also not using perishable goods, like on the field of construction, like if you're using spare parts, I think it will be better for you to stock the spare parts in this current situation, so that it wouldn't affect the prices of your goods. So definitely, if you're using spare parts, like you have trucks and you have consumable spare parts like tires, other filters and other stuff, I think when you store them, it will really help you with this current economic situation. Thank you.
Kojo, I think you are in tandem with what Osum just said. So you have to define your perishable goods against so that you order which one you think you need first. Exactly. I have about 4 hands. I don't know what to call. Is it Joseph Nati?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Engineer can come in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that just in time is what you need. So whether prices are fluctuating, going up or coming down, stocking what you need at just the right time is good for the business. Because if you are looking at a smaller scale, you may think stocking will be okay for you. But if you are looking at a bigger scale where companies are manufacturing millions of products in a year or hundreds of thousands of products in a year, if you are going to stock what you don't need, at the end of the day, it's going to increase your inventory cost. And that cost may even be higher than maybe the price that may increase per a particular product. So I think just in time is what you need. Thank you.
All right, Engineer.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Colleagues, I think the first would be to have an assessment done. What industry am I? What are the requirements? What are the needs? How fluctuating would the things you need to perform a task be? If you look at the Japanese model, I mean, apart from the space constraint we're talking about, it's also a place where they have SLA signs, like other colleagues said, but the parts are manufactured by the suppliers. So there's also some work transferred to the suppliers. And they are bringing these supplies to you as and when you need it. Inventory is taken out, but we should also be mindful of the fact that where there is innovation or Internet of Things changing, some of the electronics we use, you have, a better product at the time of placing the demand. The other side of it is that the buyer is always making a request at the time of need. What it means is that your price at the time of need, your product at any given time will have to consider the price of production at that time. No producer will give you something, an item, and use an earlier, rate when the currency is depreciating very, quick or fast. The other side of it is that we in construction, especially if you have to do some housing projects, you can also consider it when you have a serial tender project to carry. So you are producing maybe hundreds or thousands of, housing units or 1,000 units of houses. Once you start with your first batch, you know what to demand from the suppliers. The caveat, or sometimes the protection or cover we give ourselves, is when you sign the SLA, you also have to index the currency. So assuming we decide that we are buying cement, today is 85 or 90 cedis per bag. What will be the conversion if you have to index against the dollar? So because maybe the person is sourcing raw materials from a dollar based country or whatever. So if it is maybe 78% of it, anytime there is price increase, there's always a tolerance. Okay, we can do plus or minus 5%. And it gives everybody room to operate, to adjust rates at the time of demand or supply. My thoughts, please. Thank you.
Very well noted, Engineer Robert. Let's just take this last. Can you kindly put your hands down? It looks like it's conflicting with those here.
Yeah, no, I wanted to add.
You wanted to come in again?
Yes, I wanted to come in again.
Is it based on what engineer just said?
Yes, short, something short. So if you
okay,
can
then kindly do that so that Eunice will just take over from you.
Okay, sir. All right. I think per the submission that we are making, I think we are all making a good point. But then I wanted to emphasize, it depends on what you are also into it. For instance, if you are into haulage or you are into transport and you are waiting for lean time to order your stuff, like as I mentioned with spare parts and those stuff, it will always go against you because things like that, the track styles, you definitely need them. So at least you can have some stock, which it wouldn't affect you too much with this current changes in price day in, day out. So that was the point that I was looking at it. Thank you.
Oh, Eunice, you can take over, please.
Okay. Like engineer said, if you are fortunate enough to know the kind of market you are in, and also you have a customer base, I think if you have a customer base, it goes a long way to help you in this kind of economy. What it will help you to do is that it helps you determine the number of times the customers are buying from you and what products are selling. What it goes to help you to do is that it helps you to determine how to set your replenishment order points for some of the products you are selling. So say if you are selling products that you can determine your replenishment order points, then you know what you are bringing in on a weekly or monthly basis. If you're able to determine those products, then at least you know you are replenishing those products and customers are going to buy those products. For products that you know you can't determine their replenishment order points, what you can do is you can have a forecast and go like, oh, customers are not buying these items on as frequent as they should. If you have a forecast based on your customer base, then you can forecast for those items. In terms of price fluctuation, what you can do also as a seller or as a company is maybe you can discuss with your customers and go like, in a year, you can have price review, say 4 times a year or per quarter. Every quarter, you sit down with your customer and go like, oh, we are going to have price review. And then you discuss with your customers and go like, oh, this is what we are going to sell to you based on the fluctuation of the prices. If they're okay with it, then so that you don't go back and forth with them. That's what I think.
Okay, Eunice, Delis, I know your answer now. Earlier on you prompted, so can you go ahead before Mahmoud takes over? Delis.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to add on to I think what Joseph Nata said, that sometimes it may seem like maybe stocking inventory is a way to beat the changing prices, but then you'd also incur extra costs for holding those inventory. For example, if you hold it before you are supposed to use it, you run the risk of having these inventory getting damaged before you have to use it. It means that by the time that you need it, you need to order extra more, and that's also going to come at an extra cost. Also, you need to pay for warehousing, you need to pay for security, you need to pay for, you know, storage equipment, you know, your pallets, whatever you're going to use to stock these inventory. So like my colleagues have said before, you study your markets, you do your forecasting, and then it helps to have like a minimum quantity just in case you have some orders that come in before, I mean, at random times. But then I think that you run the risk of incurring more costs if you hold inventory just because you are trying to avoid price hikes.
Noted, my dear. Mamadou.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tofi. What I wanted to add is that the focus always have to be on the customer need, because from what I know, the just-in-time and the Kaizen method is always focusing on eliminating costs or reducing waste in the organization. It's not focused about revenue. It's always focused about eliminating costs in the company. So the focus always has to be the customer need, so that you know what exactly your customer want, and it help you to just reduce your costs. So that's what I wanted to add.
Okay, Mamadou, I agree with you on this part too. Someone just said something. Let me read. That is Gomensa. Says he doesn't have a mic to speak to. So this is his contribution. So it's in support of just, okay, GIT, so just in time. Also, we can employ the consignment stock system of inventory. Holding consignment stock can be beneficial to the sellers or suppliers in several ways. One, increased sales. Consignment stock allows sellers to increase their sales by making their product available to a wider range of buyers. Lowered risk. Sellers do not have to bear the risk of unsold goods, as the buyer is responsible for returning unsold items. Improved cash flow. Sellers can receive payment for goods only when they are sold, which can improve cash flow. Increased brand exposure. Consignment stock can help sellers increase brand exposure and test demand for new products. And finally, cost effective. It can be cost-effective way for sellers to enter new market or test new product. Gideon Obeng Mensah. So I think we can wrap it up here. Doc. Is he still gone?
I'm here.
Okay. So these are the thoughts gathered here.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm biased towards the just-in-time, approach. Simply because, just like Mamadou reiterated, to reduce waste and to reduce your cost. Because if you have your budget, or if you have if you have your budget, and just because of price fluctuation, you think you need to stretch your hands and then get in extra goods so that you can save them against your next consignment. I think you're wasting some monies on product that probably you might not need them now. And it also leads to what the list said. You're going to incur the cost of warehouse and security, and then there will be likely damages to those goods that you're hoarding and so on and so forth. So I'll go in with the ones that you need, that's at the time, and then you purchase those ones. Once you get those ones dealt with in your next consignment, you know how to deal with that. So that's my take on that. Thank you.
Okay. That's a very good discussion. Oh, okay. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so whilst you guys were discussing, I was also getting some questions that okay, so yeah. So in view of what we discussed now, this question will surface somewhere. Right, someone should read. I think, Amma, you should read this.
Okay. It has been stated that the advantages of employing the just-in-time methodology are vastly outweighed by the advantages of maintaining an inventory. Show how just-in-time or just-in-case inventory management may help businesses obtain a competitive advantage by using an organization of your choosing as an example.
Of your choice, of your choice.
Of your choice as an example, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we see this question. How would you attempt this question? I just took all the things that you have discussed and turned it to a question. Right? That's what I did. I've not done anything. What I have not introduced. Okay. Let me just throw small light on just in case. Who knows about just in case? Who knows about just in case?
No, So I think just in cases like producing, it's the opposite of just in time. So producing to stock. So as and when your customers need it, then you can provide.
Okay, so just in case, it's just keeping minimal inventory, right? Minimal inventory. Just in time says that you are keeping zero inventory, right? Just in case has some level of safety stock against any unforeseen eventuality. So this question is saying that you can decide to do just in time or just in case, okay? But show how that can help businesses obtain competitive edge using an organization of your choice. So you only state the reasons for not holding inventory, right? And you have just discussed this extensively. And sometimes some of you also said that it's good to have some sort of safety stock, and holding inventory can be product specific or product specific. It couldn't go for all products. There are some products you can decide hold inventory. Others you can decide not to hold inventory. If the product is not perishable, if the product, the prices are such that, I mean, over time, the price goes up unnecessarily, and then you don't need so much in terms of protection, safety. I mean, you don't need air conditioning, you don't need all the cost of holding, and it's nothing. Like somebody buying these big pipes, okay? They can even leave it outside. No one is going to, it will take you a hell of time to even steal those things, okay? Or steels, big one with, I mean, like it looks like a beam. Normally when they bring it from the port, it's on roll vessels. You have to roll it off, and it takes a lot of energy and equipment to lift it and then put it on the trailers. So, I mean, in the mining sector, they leave it in the open. If you like, come and steal it. I mean, it's practically impossible to steal it because you don't have even equipment to transport it. So, product like that can stay in the weather for donkey years. Nothing is going to happen to it or not. And that it's not easy always getting them. Then you would want to stock them. So, in case of that, in case of such product, then stocking becomes relevant. If you are dealing with fast-moving parts, for instance, and I mean during production, it can happen that some parts will go off. You always want to have a safety stock, just something because you cannot wait. The machines that are used for production, most companies, I mean, go year round, okay? When they shut it down, it will take like 2 weeks to restart everything. So you might want to look at it also from that perspective. So there's no cast in concrete, cast in stone strategy for maintaining high inventory or just in time, but it's all about optimization. The inventory manager is the one who should creatively develop which of these strategies can give that person competitive edge and then reduce the cost, I mean, of holding inventory. You see, the purchase cycle itself is a huge cost. The cycle of purchase, the repetitive, human resource, papers, and all that. So some people believe that at the beginning of the year, let's buy everything and put it there so that the cost of procurement will be just one. Other people believe that now, when we procure this thing, we put it there. I mean, we don't need it now. So why are you holding, I mean, working capital in stock? I mean, it's a waste of time. We could put that thing in investment and make some money. Okay. Other people will also say that, okay, then let's keep some minimum, I mean, inventories. And we've had terrible situations where whilst I was an IT manager, a switch will go off and we don't have backup because these switches are very expensive. It takes a long time to procure. So when it is off, you could see the whole port, maybe the line 7, terminal 1 is off. It means they cannot get in containers. And I mean, within that period, the port would have lost close to about $300,000 because we could not get in. The vessels are waiting at the anchorage and they are dealing with time. Vessel turnaround time should be very low, but because we cannot get in, we can also not discharge the containers. Okay, so it becomes a problem. And how much is the cost of the switch? Maybe it was 20,000, maybe 30,000. So couldn't we have kept about, I mean, let's talk about 3 or 4 of them just in case there's a problem. So these things become, I mean, when the problem comes, then they think that you, the IT manager, you are inefficient or ineffective. But then the procurement manager told you that, hey, the budget was all that. And when the problem comes, the procurement manager will tell, it is the IT manager, they didn't tell us the truth. But for me, all these things, I communicated through mail. So once the Yawa happened, then I forwarded the mail to the DG straight that this is the scenario. We requested for this, and this guy said blah, blah, blah. And because of 20,000 or 30,000, we are losing $300,000. Okay. And these things are evidence. So you, the inventory manager or the procurement manager or the sectional head that deals with these things should be able to ascertain your inventory, your 422, the most important, your ABC, the most important inventory that represents probably 70% of the process. And then you look at the other ones that represent the next 30. So that the 70%, you make sure you stock those ones, you have backups at any point in time. And then the other ones you can decide not to. But all these things comes with cost. So it's important that you see how you're going to waive your way. But there's no one all-inclusive strategy, I mean, for that. It is product dependent, it is seasonal dependent. It also depends on the financial muscle of the organization, okay? So a question like this, if you are able to make a justification, just pick an organization, state their mission and vision and their product and services, and then now talk about what the reasons why we should hold inventory and try to bring the organization's process in the discussion, conclude, and then you are good to go. Okay? Are we good? Yeah.
Yeah, please, I just want to ask a question. It might sound funny, but then. So for somebody like, let's say, Papaya.
Yes.
That sells plain rice,
yeah.
jollof rice and fried rice. Are they practicing just in time? Like say, are they practicing just in time or just in case?
Okay, so for them, I mean, you've brought another dimension to this discussion. We call decoupling. Okay, decoupling and postponement. In fact, it's a concept in agility, agile. Now, lean and agility are somewhat similar, but agility involves keeping some level of inventory within the lean process. So practicing agility is very expensive, okay, than lean. Now, what these guys are doing, they are doing some form of lean, but they are doing agility within it. In fact, there's concepts that say lean agile, being lean and agility. But within agility, there's some sort of lean, and that's what I want to explain. So what do they do? Papaya says that if Papaya doesn't prepare jollof, let's assume that they also do jollof and that they do fried rice. Now, when you go and you want fried chicken, and then the other one is what? The grilled one. Okay.
Grilled chicken.
Grilled chicken. And then now, is it possible to prepare fried rice in 15 minutes?
Highly impossible.
Highly impossible. But when you go there, they get the fried rice for you, maximum 20 minutes. Correct?
Same.
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the magic behind? So they do what they call decoupling and postponement. So they have the stock, minimal stock there. Okay, they do some sort of projection to know the sales trend. Okay, Now, the rice is half cooked. In other words, when they're doing fried rice, the plain rice is cooked, but not mixed. So what they have done is they have decoupled the process and postponed the completion till the customer comes, so that the agility part can work. So when you come, the what do you call it? The chicken is not fried, okay? It is not grilled. With a fried and grilled, they can work within 10-15 minutes, right? So it is there. So when you say you want more sauce, they put more sauce. The sauce is there, more sauce on it. Less sauce, they remove more sauce from. They give you less sauce. So by the time you say Jack, they have worked out these things in a way that within maximum 20 minutes, they're able to, after decoupling the process and postponing it, they're able to put it together and serve the customer. So that's what they call agile. The customer taste and preference at any point in time, they are able to serve. The guy says, I want fried grilled chicken. I want this, more sauce. I don't want less sauce. I want less sauce. I want this. And they're able to serve the different interests within that. They don't cook everything, no. So that if it doesn't finish, okay, customers do not buy everything. They're able to store because they have not put any all the things together. The same things happen in the automobile industry. In fact, the vehicles, the chassis are already prepared. Okay, other than that, it's going to take a long time to put up. So the chassis are done. Okay, as for the design, it is based on trends. There are certain things that are constant, they are there. So once you place the order for the vehicle, they will tell you that within 1 month you'll be able to. But ideally, it is not practicable to produce all those things within. But they do the mass production for the chassis, which are standard for all within that period. The engines and then the number of plugs they have to put on the engine and all that. They have other standard engines that reflect all the design, all the models that they want to use. So those ones are there. So that is what they stock, and they postponed what? The completion. So there's some sort of lane in there just to make sure that they do not waste the output at the end of the day. They don't produce product that did not have market on it. So the lean aspect is that we decouple the process and we postpone the completion. And as and when customer demands it, that is where we serve. And that's where the just in time comes in. But that's what we call agility. It's a term that, or a concept that I get to know. Now people are doing lean agile. And another term for lean agility is mass production, mass customization. And we are customizing to meet all the customer taste and preference. I think Galaxy, what the Samsung is doing that, okay? They do mass customization and it is helping them. Any more questions?
Doc, just a quick one. When you're talking of the port, inventory and your switches and stuff, it took my mind back at what happens at the government agencies. For by the end of the year, all inventories are taken from all departments and then submitted to the central government, and allocations do come in on quarterly basis. So if you have things like this, in your experience, how do you think you need to manage them? Assuming my total inventory includes, buying a car, buying some ties, buying pens, and so on and so forth. But my money do come in quarterly basis.
Yeah, I think that we've also suffered. So that's what is leading to the waste in the system. So what we do is by the last quarter of every year, most companies put their procurement budgets together and goes to seek for approval from the PPA, bulk one. And they make in fact, what people do is that they even buy things for 5 years. Okay, knowing very well that if they are not very careful and they are going through the procurement cycle and the allocation that's going to be given to them and all that. So they send that budget. And that's why you see bloated budgets. It's not that they need the things. People buy things for 20 years. And it's outrageous. Okay, but that's the reality that we are faced with. Sometimes if the government, the agency has an IGF, if the thing is a matter of life and death, they would have to, do that. That use the IGF just to supplement the problem. But government releases funds based on the taxes they receive. So when they give the budget, it doesn't mean the money is there. That's when they receive the money. So if the money is not forthcoming, then we are shortchanged. So these are the challenges. So most times the IGF can help, and you also make sure that sometimes the items we even buy are of poor quality, and then they change the switch, and then in 2 months the switch is off again and all that. And it's all because of the procurement process. They bring suppliers in who do not qualify, raise prices, give low quality. If you reject, procurement says that you are rejecting at your own peril. It will take another period, so let's use it like that. A whole manner of, in quote, nonsense in the system. But that is the reality. That is the reality. So IGF can help. And at this point, I don't know what strategy you can put in, because it all boils down in proper planning and then a proper use of utilization of resources and all that. I don't know whether you get my point.
I get your point, Doc. Thank you.
So this question is going to appear.
Doc.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Good. Sorry, I was going to say that in the banks too, sometimes we do impact analysis. If this item is to be produced by Italians who will be going on holidays a particular period of the year, what would be the impact if we don't get it? We just oppose that against the cost of holding the item. And if it's a critical thing, then it's purchased, though our stock in trade is money, we still purchase it and place it on hold for demand.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, but for that, Lamte, for that, it's only the white man who does that too. A typical black man will say that God will do it. Okay. And they will, for instance, if you are buying a firewall, we were using a firewall, FortiGate. I've forgotten the series. In fact, FortiGate is used in some cases for missile management and missile direction and all that. It's not just for network, but it's a firewall that helps block external users from getting into our system. And we bought one like, how much? $20,000 or so. So at the time we bought 6. But if the FortiGate, and then we had also issues with power fluctuation. So we had to put that in some inverters and other. There was a particular place we requested for the inverter. They never, and that's where the firewall was. Every time we talk about it, the procurement manager says that no, the supplier says this, and one day the firewall went off. So as an IT manager, what I could do was to tell the vendor who sold it to us to give us a spare that they have somewhere to salvage the issue. Went to the DG, made the case, and they bought another one under emergency. And at that day, they had to buy also the stabilizer just to take care of, that. But we could have salvaged that. But most times in this part of the world, they'll tell you that the thing will not spoil now. Why are you being negative? You are being too negative. When you are actually putting some sort of precautionary measures in place to make sure that the people will be reading religion and other things. I don't know whether, Lamte, you have observed this. And me, when I see people who behave this way, when they say you are being negative and you need to have, at the workplace, we don't deal with faith. Is it faith we are working with? It's profit and cost. You are not dealing with faith. So when we bring these things in, it becomes a problem. Jansen, your hand is up.
Yes, sir. But I just want to talk about what you are actually saying concerning.
And a little top up power. Today you do all. Go ahead.
Yes, but concerning the stock issue. For instance, I had issue like on my field, we had issue with one excavator. And then the excavator, there was just a seed, a small seed that we needed for that machine. And when it got spoiled, because it didn't have a spare, when it got spoiled, we contacted the distributors or the sales, those who sells the machine. And it took us about 3 months before we had that seed. So the machine was sitting down because of just a small seed. The machine was sitting down for 3 months. So for instance, if this machine was being used as rental or for rent, we would have lost 4,000 a day times 3 months. That would be a lot of money. Even though we were not using it for rentals, it was also slowing our work because we needed the machine to work. So from that time, we realized that you should always have some stock for spare parts, if nothing at all, because the spare parts, you can store it for years and it wouldn't even get spoiled. And these are the same machines that you're going to use it on. So we believe in having stock than, doing things on the real time when the thing goes spoiled before we go and look for it. So it depends on what you are doing and the field that you find yourself.
All right.
Thank you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. To Afrik, I think that can we break for just some 10 minutes and freshen up and come back?
That's fine, Doctor.
Yeah, 10 minutes. If we can even do 15, if that is fine, because I need you guys to stretch. We are going to move to another gear, and then we'll not do more than 45 minutes and we'll be done. But something very important that we're going to do.
So colleagues, 10, 15, which one are we doing?
15.
Okay, so it's 9:40 now. So 9:55. All right, thank you.
You change it so that we come 10 o'clock.
Oh, is that